The store was busy that Saturday afternoon, alive with the rhythm of weekend shopping. Families moved through wide aisles, their carts filled with cereal boxes and cleaning supplies. A mother compared prices on milk while her son tugged at her sleeve, pointing toward the candy shelves. Bright signs shouted out discounts. A cartwheel squeaked every few feet, its sound standing out even above the soft, looping background music. The smell of bread, fresh from the bakery corner, drifted through the air and mixed with the faint scent of floor polish. It was the kind of ordinary day that felt predictable, safe, until one woman walked through the doors. Her name was Denise Carter. She was 42 years old, a respected police captain in the city. But today she was simply Denise, an off-duty shopper. She wore comfortable jeans, a simple blouse, and flat shoes. A worn, brown leather shoulder bag rested against her side, carrying only the basics: her wallet, her keys, and a small grocery list folded neatly inside. She moved slowly, scanning her list, humming softly under her breath. To anyone watching, she looked like a woman running errands after a long week. But across the store, another pair of eyes had locked on her. Carol Whitman, the store manager, stood near the service desk with her arms crossed tightly. She was in her 50s, with neatly curled hair and a sharp voice she often used to keep employees in line. Carol narrowed her eyes at Denise, as if studying a problem she needed to solve. Without waiting long, she leaned toward one of her employees and whispered something. Then she reached for the phone. Her call to the police was brief but loaded. "There's a suspicious woman here. Might be shoplifting. No proof. No description of what she had seen. Only her assumptions, passed along as fact." Minutes later, a patrol car pulled up outside, its headlights briefly catching the glass entrance. Officer Mark Keller stepped inside. He was 36, tall and broad-shouldered, with a neat haircut and the look of someone who carried authority everywhere he went. He didn't know Denise. He only knew what Carol had told him, and soon, without realizing it, a respected police captain would be treated like a criminal. Denise was in the canned goods aisle, scanning labels with calm focus. She compared prices, adjusted her bag strap, and studied the fine print on a jar. To her, this was nothing more than a quiet stop before heading home. But to Carol, who watched her from a distance, every movement seemed suspicious. When Denise shifted her bag higher on her shoulder, Carol muttered, "She's hiding something." When she paused too long to compare brands, Carol whispered to herself, "She's waiting for her chance." At the front of the store, Officer Keller listened to Carol's account. She leaned close, her voice carrying both urgency and certainty. "She doesn't belong here," she said firmly. "I've seen her type before." Those words were enough. Keller didn't ask questions. He didn't ask for details. Instead, his hand brushed the side of his belt as he began walking toward Denise. The air inside the store seemed to shift. The cheerful background music faded into the distance. Shoppers slowed their carts. A man pushing a basket of produce stopped mid-step, sensing something in the officer's tense movements. Denise glanced up, noticing him approach. His jaw was tight, his stride quick. She felt the weight of his stare before he even spoke. "Ma'am," Keller said firmly, his voice low but commanding. "I need you to step aside." Denise blinked, puzzled. "Excuse me?" Carol appeared at his side, pointing directly at her. Her voice rose louder now for everyone to hear. "That's her. I saw her slipping items into her bag. She's been wandering with no intent to buy." Gasps spread through the aisle. A young couple exchanged uneasy looks. A man muttered under his breath. Denise's face tightened, but her tone stayed calm. "That's not true. I haven't taken anything." Keller stepped closer, his hand hovering near the cuffs clipped to his belt. His eyes scanned her bag like it was already evidence. "Open your bag," he ordered. The aisle grew silent. A child somewhere stopped humming a tune. The squeak of that one stubborn cartwheel echoed sharply through the stillness. Denise set her bag on the counter with steady hands. She looked directly at Keller, her eyes calm but strong. She knew exactly what this moment meant. Not just suspicion, not just caution, but assumption, built on how she looked, not who she was. Slowly, she pulled out her belongings. First, her wallet, then her keys, then her folded grocery list. She laid them out clearly, nothing hidden, nothing extra. Still, Keller's stance did not relax. His hand hovered close to the cuffs. Carol folded her arms with satisfaction. "She's lying," she insisted. "Check again." The tension in the aisle wrapped tighter, pressing on everyone. Phones came up quietly. A few shoppers whispered, "What's happening?" Others exchanged knowing glances and whispered the truth. "This isn't about shoplifting. This is about race." If you were standing there, would you side with the woman accused or the people pointing fingers? Comment below. Keller reached for the cuffs. "Ma'am, you'll need to come with me." "Stop," Denise said sharply. Her voice was firm, cutting through the air like glass. She reached into her wallet again, this time pulling out a small, gleaming badge. She held it up so the light caught it. The gold shield glimmered under the fluorescent bulbs. The words engraved across it left no doubt. "Police Captain." The store froze. Carol's face went pale. Keller's eyes widened in shock. His hand dropped quickly away from his belt as the weight of his mistake hit him. Denise's voice was steady, controlled. "You were about to arrest a captain of the very department you serve. And you did it without evidence, without respect, without thought." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Phones tilted upward, recording every angle. Shoppers leaned closer, their expressions a mix of disbelief and outrage. Carol stammered, her earlier confidence gone. I didn't know." "That's the problem," Denise said, her eyes fixed on her. "You didn't know, but you assumed." The silence that followed was louder than any siren. If you believe respect must come before judgment, like and share this story so others can see it too. Later, in the cramped office at the back of the store, the tension was heavy. The fluorescent lights buzzed faintly overhead. Papers cluttered the desk. The air smelled faintly of dust and coffee that had sat too long. Keller sat stiffly in a chair, shame written across his face. Carol twisted a pen in her hands, unable to meet anyone's eyes. The authority she carried earlier had drained away. Denise stood across from them. Her posture was straight, her expression calm. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. "This is what happens when you see color first," she said, sliding her badge back into her wallet. "And not the person standing right in front of you." Keller's voice cracked. "Captain, I didn't know." "That's the lesson," Denise said softly. "You didn't ask. You assumed." Outside the office, the noise of gathered shoppers filtered through the door. Some clapped. Some whispered in disbelief. Others shook their heads at what they had just witnessed. Carol tried to defend herself. "I was just trying to protect the store." Denise looked at her evenly. "No, you were trying to protect an image you created in your mind. And you turned it into a crime." She picked up her bag and walked to the door. Before stepping out, she paused and looked back at Keller. "Remember this moment. Justice doesn't begin with handcuffs. It begins with respect." When Denise walked into the store again, the crowd parted naturally. Some nodded in quiet approval. A young girl tugged her mother's sleeve and whispered, "She's a hero." By evening, the video of the incident spread online. Clips showed the badge, the officer's shock, and the truth revealed in real time. Headlines shifted quickly from shoplifting call to Captain stands tall against false arrest. Carol faced public outrage. Keller faced questions about his training and his judgment. And Denise? She walked away with dignity, showing the city what true leadership looks like. For more stories of strength, truth, and justice, subscribe and stay with us.